Lot, Abraham's nephew. Lot was the son of Haran, Abraham's brother, making him Abraham's nephew. He was orphaned at a young age. Lot traveled with his grandfather Terah, his uncle Abraham, and his aunt Sarah from Ur of the Chaldeans to Haran. After Terah's death, when God called Abraham to leave Haran and go to the land of Canaan, Lot accompanied him. This decision linked Lot's early life directly to Abraham's journey of faith, and for a time he shared in Abraham's blessings and challenges. As both Abraham and Lot prospered and accumulated large flocks and herds, their herdsmen began to quarrel over grazing land, leading to tensions between the two families. To avoid further conflict and preserving their relationship, Abraham, demonstrating generosity and a desire for peace, offered Lot the first choice of land. Lot surveyed the fertile plain of the Jordan, which was well watered, everything like the garden of the Lord, and resembling the land of Egypt, and chose to settle there, pitching his tents near Sodom. This choice, however, proved to be a fateful one, as the men of Sodom were wicked, great sinners against the Lord. Lot's decision to live near and eventually within Sodom placed him and his family in grave danger. When a coalition of kings attacked and plundered Sodom, taking Lot and his possessions captive, Abraham and 318 trained men pursued the invaders, rescued Lot, and recovered all his goods. The event highlights Abraham's continued loyalty to his nephew, despite their early separation. The most dramatic part of Lot's story unfolds in Genesis 19, when God determined to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah due to their pervasive wickedness. Two angels disguised as men arrived in Sodom and were hospitably received by Lot, who urged them to stay in his house. However, the depravity of the city was immediately apparent as the men of Sodom surrounded Lot's house, demanding that he bring out his guests for them to abuse. Lot even offered his 2 virgin daughters to the mob, a disturbing act that underscores the corrupting influence of the city. Despite Lot's flawed character and his compromised position, God remembered Abraham and delivered Lot and his family from the destruction. The angels explicitly commanded them to flee the city without looking back. However, Lot's wife disobeyed, looking back, longing to the city she was leaving, and was turned into a pillar of salt. Lot and his 2 daughters fled to a small town called Zoar, and then, fearing to stay there, retreated to a cave in the mountains. In a further tragic turn, his daughters, fearing that they would have no offspring, got their father drunk on 2 successive nights and lay with him. From these incestuous unions, Moab, father of the Moabites, and Ben-Amin, father of the Ammonites, were born. This shameful end of Lot's story reflects the complete moral degradation that resulted from his exposure to the wickedness of Sodom and the isolation of his final circumstances. Lot's life is a cautionary tale of the dangers of compromising with evil, the consequences of worldly choices, and the enduring grace of God in delivering.
Subscribe to the channel or St. Nicholas will slap you when you get to heaven.
Become a member of the channel and get exclusive members-only content, courses, articles, audio, and much more, all in one place. We add new materials every single month, and we'd love to have you. Check out the links in the description or in the links for the channel. Let's look at the themes of Lot's life. First, consequences for worldly choices. Lot's decisions to settle in the fertile but wicked plain of Jordan and eventually living in Sodom demonstrates the danger of prioritizing material prosperity over spiritual well-being. Compromise and corruption. His increased assimilation into the culture of Sodom is evident in his willingness to offer his daughters to the mob, showing how prolonged exposure to sin can erode moral boundaries. Third, divine deliverance despite flaws. Despite his moral compromises and questionable decisions, God's grace, largely due to Abraham's intercession, led to Lot's rescue from Sodom's destruction. The perils of materialism. His initial choice of land was driven by its fertile appearance, leading him closer to a spiritually dangerous environment. Fifth, loss of judgment. The destruction of Sodom and the fate of his wife serve as stark warnings about God's judgment on unrighteousness and the consequences of looking back at a life of sin. Isolation and moral degradation. His final retreat to a cave and the subsequent incestuous acts with his daughters illustrate the devastating impact of isolation and extreme moral decay. 7th, Abraham's intercession and loyalty. Abraham's pursuit to rescue Lot from the kings and the earnest plea with God for Sodom for Lot's sake highlight Abraham's enduring love and faithfulness. Here are some key points from Lot's life. Scripture references below. He was the son of Haran, nephew of Abraham. He traveled with Abraham from Ur to Haran. He accompanied Abraham to Canaan, prospered alongside Abraham, separated from Abraham due to strife between herdsmen. Abraham gives Lot first choice of land. He chose the fertile plain of the Jordan. He pitched his tents near Sodom. He lived in Sodom, captured by the invading kings, rescued by Abraham, entertained 2 angels in Sodom, offered his daughters to the Sodomite mob. He was urged by the angels to flee Sodom. He lingered before he fled. His wife turned into a pillar of salt. He escaped to Zor. He lived in a cave with his daughters, incestuous relationship with his daughters, and he was the father of Moab and Ben-Amin, the ancestors of the Moabites and the Ammonites. The sad tale of Abraham's nephew.
Subscribe to the channel or St. Nicholas will slap you when you get to heaven.